They had been warned. The message wasn't written in words, nor broadcast through diplomatic channels. It came as silence, an entire quadrant going dark, a fleet of warships swallowed whole by the quiet void of retribution. And everyone in the galaxy knew who had done it. Humanity had always been underestimated. Fragile. Short-lived. Primitive. When the Sarin Accord invaded Earth's outer colonies 40 years ago, burning Mars stations, glassing Ceres, erasing 20 million souls, they expected submission. Instead, they awakened something ancient and relentless, the human will to remember. Now, as Admiral Daniel Rourke stood on the bridge of the Erebus, the flagship of the Terran Defense Armada, he watched the holographic star map burn red. Entire Sarin sectors blinked offline, one by one. There were no distress calls. No survivors. Only silence. "Sir, transmission from the Concord Council," said Lieutenant Avery, her voice trembling. "They're asking if we'll stand down." Rourke didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the empty space where once the Sarin trade route shimmered like veins of light. "Stand down," he murmured. They should have thought of that when they bombed Titan. He turned toward the viewing glass. Earth glowed behind him, serene and blue, cradled in the dark. Around it, the Armada moved in perfect formation, hundreds of ships bearing the insignia of a single phrase etched into their hulls. Never again. In the hidden laboratories beneath the lunar archives, Dr. Lila Navarro worked in silence. The hum of quantum servers surrounded her, but her eyes were fixed on a single image suspended in the holofield, a broken colony beacon retrieved from the ruins of Ceres. She remembered the day it fell. The sound of the alarms. The flash of light so bright it had no color. Her daughter's hand slipping from hers. That was the day the Accord signed its death warrant. Now, decades later, Navarro's work powered the heart of Rourke's vengeance, Project Revenant. A weapon that didn't destroy worlds, it erased them. The science behind it wasn't new. The morality of it was. "Doctor," said a voice behind her. Captain Marcus Hale, her escort and former Marine. "Command says the test was successful. The Vallis Nebula systems, gone." She didn't look up. "Gone," she repeated softly. "Nothing left. Radiation levels dropped to 0. It's clean." "Clean," she echoed, hollowly. "As if that makes it merciful." Hale hesitated. "They had it coming, document." "We all saw what they did." She turned toward him, eyes sharp, haunted. "And when does it stop, Captain? When the last one dies? When the stars stop whispering their names?" He didn't answer. No one ever did. The Sarin Accord had sent envoys, of course. Pleas for peace, offers of reparation. But the humans had changed since the war. Their diplomacy was colder, their silences longer. They didn't seek forgiveness anymore, they offered warnings. The first came as a broadcast across every channel in known space. A single, recorded message, spoken by Rourke himself. "This is not war. This is remembrance. You taught us pain. Now, you will learn memory. Humanity does not forgive." The message repeated for 1 week. Then, the Erebus vanished beyond the rim into the shadows of Accord territory. 2 months later, Dr. Navarro was summoned to the bridge. She found Rourke standing alone, his uniform pristine, his face carved in the hard lines of exhaustion. "You've seen the reports," he said quietly. "They're mobilizing what's left of their fleets. They think they can stop us. You expected anything else?" "No," he admitted. "But I hoped they'd understand the message before we reached this point." Navarro stepped closer, lowering her voice. "What if they never do?" Rourke's gaze turned distant. "Then we make sure no one ever forgets." Outside the viewport, the Erebus entered FTL, its massive hull dissolving into light as the stars stretched into ribbons. The course was set for Sarin Prime, the heart of the Accord. In the silence of space, vengeance traveled faster than light. But so did guilt. And though no one aboard would say it aloud, everyone knew this wasn't justice anymore. It was something darker, something older, something human. When the fleet emerged near Sarin Prime, the planet shimmered like an emerald beneath twin suns. It was beautiful, peaceful, undeserving of mercy, and yet Rourke hesitated.
"Target lock confirmed," said Avery. "Revenant sequence armed." Rourke's hands clenched behind his back. "Dr. Navarro," he said. "Is it ready?"
Her voice was soft.
"Always was." He exhaled slowly.
"Then let history remember this moment."
The command echoed through the bridge. "Execute."
A pulse of white light erupted from the Erebus, silent, perfect, final. It expanded outward like a ripple across water, washing over Sarin Prime.
The planet didn't explode. It simply ceased. Every molecule unmade, every memory erased.
When the light faded, there was only space. Rourke closed his eyes. "Transmission to all fleets," he said. "Let it be known, the price has been paid." But deep in the ship's data cores, Dr. Navarro recorded her own message, a counter-warning hidden beneath encryption. "To whoever finds this," she whispered, "know this truth. We were right to defend ourselves, but wrong to forget what mercy meant.
Humans don't forgive. And one day, that will destroy us too."
The ship moved on, silent and unstoppable, leaving behind the ashes of an empire and the echo of its own warning. The universe didn't scream when Sarin Prime died.
It simply went quiet. For the first time in recorded history, the galactic network fractured under the weight of disbelief. Systems blinked offline. Trade routes halted.
Thousands of species watched in silence as the transmission from Earth repeated across the void.
The debt is paid.
The record is closed. But it wasn't.
Not even close.
The Erebus drifted beyond the rim, its engines dark to avoid tracking.
Admiral Daniel Rourke stood in his quarters, staring at the holographic memorial projected before him.
Names, hundreds of thousands of them, rolled like a tide across the light.
Civilians. Colonists.
Soldiers.
Every one of them human.
Every one of them dead because of the Accord. Rourke had memorized their order. Every night, he read them aloud until his throat burned. He had promised their families that he'd bring justice. He hadn't promised what it would cost.
The door chimed. "Enter," Rourke said quietly. Captain Marcus Hale stepped in, removing his cap.
His posture was rigid, military perfect, but his eyes betrayed unease.
"Sir," he began, "Fleet Command wants confirmation of Sarin Prime's neutralization. They're demanding visuals." Rourke gestured to the viewport.
Outside, where a planet once gleamed, there was only blackness.
"That's your confirmation."
Hale swallowed. "Sir, there were billions down there."
Rourke didn't look at him.
"Billions who watched while ours burned."
"With respect, Admiral, vengeance isn't victory."
Now Rourke turned, his expression carved in stone.
"And mercy didn't save Ceres." The silence between them was thicker than the vacuum beyond the glass.
Deep in the science wing, Dr. Lila Navarro sat before a projection of the same emptiness. She'd thought she would feel relief. Closure, maybe. Instead, there was only nausea, a deep, endless ache that had no shape. She was still staring when Hale entered.
"You've seen it?" he asked.
She nodded faintly. "The cleanest genocide in history."
"It's not genocide if it's war."
Her eyes snapped toward him.
"That's exactly what they said."
He froze. For a moment, both were silent, two survivors orbiting the same trauma, drawn together by its gravity and crushed beneath it.
Finally, Hale spoke again. "There's talk, whispers among the crew. They're saying we've gone too far." Navarro looked away. "They're right." Days turned into weeks.
The Erebus moved through uncharted space, its crew restless, their purpose fulfilled but their souls hollow. Messages from Earth grew sporadic. The politicians spoke of peace through deterrence, of an age secured by fear. But the soldiers knew the truth, fear never stayed contained.
It spread.
And now, the other races, the Karen clans, the Alvri Dominion, even the neutral Catel Ascendancy, were arming.
They had seen what the humans could do. And they were terrified. "They'll come for us," Hale said one evening, watching the tactical map flare red with enemy mobilizations. "The whole galaxy. You know that, right?" Rourke stood beside him, eyes unreadable. "Then let them come. We warned them once."
On the third week after Sarin Prime's erasure, the Erebus picked up a faint distress beacon, origin unknown, coded in human encryption.
The signal was weak, but undeniably Terran. Navarro analyzed it first. "It's authentic," she confirmed. "But it's old. Timestamp says 15 years prior." "A ghost transmission?" Hale asked.
"No," she said slowly.
"A survivor's loop."
The coordinates led to an asteroid field deep in the dead halo, uncharted, unstable, lethal to most ships.
Rourke didn't hesitate.
"Set a course," he ordered.
The crew obeyed, though unease rippled through every corridor. The engines hummed, pushing them into the dark.
The wreckage appeared first, human hull plating, ancient and scorched. Then the ship itself, adrift, half buried in asteroid dust. The Horizon Dawn, a lost civilian freighter from the First Contact War. Its distress beacon still pulsed faintly, a heartbeat frozen in time.
Rourke, Hale, and Navarro led the boarding team.
The air inside was stale, frozen, filled with the ghosts of those who'd never made it home. "Oxygen traceable," Navarro said through her respirator.
"No life signs." They advanced through the narrow corridors, flashlights cutting through decades of darkness.
Then Hale stopped, crouching near a wall of scratched metal. "Sir, look at this." Words were etched into the steel with a trembling hand. Old, but still legible.
"Forgive them. Or we become them."
Navarro stared at the words, breath catching in her throat.
"They knew," she whispered. "Even then." Rourke said nothing.
His expression was unreadable, but his jaw tightened as if the message had cut deeper than any weapon. When they returned to the Erebus, the crew awaited orders. The bridge was silent, every eye on the Admiral.
"We've confirmed the loss," Rourke said finally. "No survivors."
He hesitated, a rare flicker of uncertainty. "Retrieve their records. Then, destroy what's left."
"No trace."
Navarro's head snapped toward him.
"Destroy it?"
"They were our people."
"Our ghosts," Rourke corrected.
"We leave no graves for enemies to desecrate." Her voice rose, sharp and trembling. "You can't erase everything that reminds you we had a conscience." The bridge went silent. Even Hale flinched.
Rourke stared at her for a long moment, then turned away.
"That's an order, Doctor."
That night, Navarro couldn't sleep. She walked the observation deck alone, the curve of Earth's distant star glimmering faintly across the viewport.
In her hand, she held a data drive, one she wasn't supposed to have. Inside it was the recovered message from the Horizon Dawn, unedited, unsealed.
She replayed it once more.
A woman's voice, cracked with static and time.
"If you find this, remember who we were. Not the soldiers. The people.
If vengeance becomes all that's left of us, then humanity is already gone."
Navarro's hand trembled as she shut the recording off. Outside, the stars looked cold, like eyes watching judgment unfold. She whispered into the void, "You were right."
Then she hid the drive deep within the ship's AI core, locking it behind layers of encryption.
A truth buried for later generations, if any remained.
3 days later, the storm came.
The Catel ascendancy struck first, thousands of ships breaching Terran borders, their plasma lances cutting through the outer defense lines.
For the first time in decades, humanity was caught off guard. The Erebus was recalled to Sol.
As it entered FTL, alarms blared through the fleet. The Catel had destroyed New Berlin Station. Over 2 million dead. The cycle had begun again.
On the bridge, Hale turned to Rourke.
"You knew this would happen." Rourke nodded once. "Yes." "Then why do you look surprised?"
Rourke's voice was low, grim.
"Because I thought fear would keep them away. I forgot it only makes them faster." Outside the window, the stars twisted. The fleet surged toward war again.
And somewhere deep within the ship, hidden in its mechanical heart, Dr. Navarro's message waited, silent, patient, and damning.
The sky over Earth burned again.
Flashes of light tore across the night, streaks of plasma and debris raining through the atmosphere. From orbit, the once blue planet shimmered like a dying ember, wrapped in a storm of fire and ruin. The Catel fleet had come swift and merciless, a retaliation that spanned 50 worlds. But Earth was the prize.
Humanity's home. Its heart.
And the Catel meant to stop that heart from beating forever. On the bridge of the Erebus, Admiral Daniel Rourke stood amid chaos. Smoke filled the air. The deck shook with every impact. Alarms wailed like a choir of ghosts. Shields at 37%.
Lieutenant Avery shouted. "We've lost the port batteries." "Reroute power from the aft reactors," Rourke barked. "Keep the main guns online. We hold this line or we die on it."
The Erebus moved like a wounded beast, but its guns still roared, great lances of white energy cutting through the void.
Catel cruisers shattered under its fury, their burning husks tumbling into the atmosphere below.
Every hit, every explosion, felt like justice. And yet, beneath the adrenaline and fury, Rourke felt something colder.
Not victory. Not satisfaction. Just inevitability. In the science bay below, Dr. Lila Navarro worked against time.
The corridors shuddered around her as she rerouted the ship's core systems into manual override.
Project Revenant, the same weapon that had erased Saren Prime, was being primed again.
But this time, it wasn't Rourke's order. It was hers. "You're really doing this," Captain Marcus Hale said as he appeared in the doorway, bruised and bloodied, rifle slung over his shoulder.
"You're arming the damn thing."
"It's the only way to end it," Navarro said, not looking up.
"If they reach Earth's surface, we lose everything.
This will stop them."
"Stop them?"
Hale's voice cracked. "Lila, that blast will take half the solar system with it." She turned to him, eyes red, face streaked with smoke and tears.
"Maybe that's what it takes. Maybe that's what we deserve."
He stepped closer, gripping her wrist.
"No. You don't mean that." She stared at him for a long, trembling moment and then whispered, "Don't I?"
Above them, the battle raged. The Erebus was surrounded, 30 Catel warships closing in, their hulls glowing with charged plasma. The orbital defense grid was down. The Martian carriers had been annihilated. The last Terran battleship, the Osiris, was breaking apart over the moon. Rourke's communications officer cried out, "Incoming hail from Catel flagship."
Rourke frowned. "Put it through."
The hologram flickered to life, revealing a towering Catel admiral, scaled, cold-eyed, his tone sharp and deliberate.
"Admiral Rourke," the alien said. "You spoke of remembrance.
You spoke of debts.
But now the debt is yours." Rourke's voice was low. "We warned you. You warned the galaxy what you are. And now we answer." The transmission cut.
Moments later, 20 Catel torpedoes streaked toward the Erebus.
Impact. The deck shattered beneath Rourke's feet.
Fire erupted from the starboard wing. The ship spun violently, alarms screaming.
Half the crew was gone in an instant.
Rourke dragged himself to his feet, clutching the railing, smoke stinging his eyes.
"Status."
Avery's voice came faintly through static.
"Hull breach. Decks 7 through 10. Reactor core unstable."
He closed his eyes. So this is how it ends. In the core chamber, Navarro finished the final override. The Revenant began to hum a low, bone-deep resonance that made the metal vibrate.
Lights dimmed. Energy readings spiked. Hale stared at the growing glow. "You'll kill everyone, us, them, Earth, everything."
She looked up, voice quiet but steady.
"Maybe death is the only language anyone still understands."
Hale shook his head, stepping closer.
"No.
You said it yourself once, if we forget mercy, we become them."
"Don't prove you were right."
She froze.
His words hit harder than any weapon. And in that moment, she saw her daughter's face again, the flash, the scream, the silence. Her hand trembled over the control key. Then what? She whispered. We let them finish us? We show them we can stop. That we remember what forgiveness is. The alarms screamed louder. The reactor's pulse grew erratic. Seconds left. Rourke's voice cut through the calms, hoarse and broken. Dr. Navarro, respond. What's happening in the core? She took a deep breath, opened the channel. Admiral. I can end this fight. But it'll take everything. A long pause. Do it. Hale shouted, Sir. But Rourke's voice came again, softer. Do what you believe is right, Doctor. She looked at Hale. For the first time in years, there was peace in her eyes. I'm sorry. Her hand moved not to the detonation key, but to the power reroute. She redirected the entire revenant charge away from the weapon systems and into the ship's reactor. A controlled implosion. Enough to consume the Erebus, but spare the system. Hale realized too late. Lila, no. She smiled faintly. Forgive me. From orbit, the last surviving Terran ship saw the Erebus ignite, its core folding in on itself in a blinding burst of white light. The shockwave rippled outward, swallowing the Catel fleet in a storm of radiation and gravity shear. When the light faded, there was nothing. No Erebus. No enemies. Just silence. Earth survived. Barely. Days later, amid the wreckage of orbit, recovery drones found fragments of the flagship's data cores drifting among the debris. Inside, buried deep beneath encryption, they discovered one final recording. Dr. Navarro's voice. If this message survives me, let it be known, vengeance gave us power. But it also made us monsters. We thought forgiveness was weakness. We were wrong. Mercy is the hardest strength of all. Her voice cracked, softer now. Humans don't forgive, but maybe, someday, they'll learn to. Earth's sky slowly cleared. The fires faded. The nations rebuilt, not in triumph, but in silence. Admiral Daniel Rourke's name was carved into the Martian citadel, honored as the man who avenged a world. But those who remembered him knew he died wondering whether he'd damned one instead. Captain Marcus Hale retired to the colonies beyond Luna, where he raised a family and never spoke of the Erebus again. And every year, on the anniversary of the Battle of Earth, he looked up at the stars and whispered a name only he remembered. Lila. Because in the end, she had saved them all, not with vengeance, but with mercy. Centuries later, long after the wars had ended, explorers from a new generation uncovered a fragment of Navarro's message, encoded within the archives of the Terran Restoration Council. It played once across every channel in the network, clear, steady, eternal. Remember who we were. Remember why we fought. And remember what it cost. Humans don't forgive. But they can learn. The galaxy listened. And for the first time in an age, there was silence, not of fear, but of reflection.